Hey guys, thanks for watching another video. I appreciate your patience as I am working on the quality of these videos and the quality of the sound. So I really appreciate your support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Those algorithms, man, they're really important. Thanks again for your support. So today I want to talk about the major arcana, Temperance. In my playing card deck, Temperance wanted to be the Five of Diamonds. And I will explain this because this five, the number five, is a very balanced, in the middle of 1 to 10. It's also a number that is very humanized. It's still anchored in earth. We have 5 fingers on our hands. That's seems silly, but very symbolic, okay? It's a very human number. The diamonds, or pentacles, is an earth-based suit. It's very grounded. The diamond is the perfected lump of coal. It's the perfected earth. It is earth that has been perfected through heat, pressure, energy, right? Now, when you look at Temperance as the arcana in the tarot deck, it's an angel. And there's a lot of symbols that add up to a lot of different things. And all the decks are different. All the tarot decks are different. Basically, this Five of Diamonds for me is the perfected human. Or the angel, right? Or slash your higher self. This angel, this Temperance, this guardian angel, is non-gender. It's gender fluid. It encompasses both, and it is the symbol of balance, right? When you temper something, you balance it out. This guardian angel has balanced all of the worldly desires and passions and energies. It has tempered everything, right? So this also has to do with sexual energy, balancing the libido. It's also an asexual angel, if you will. It is all of it combined. Now, in the Kabbalah, the middle path is the Christ center. It's Malkuth, Yesod, Tifereth, and Kether. It's just straight up the middle. It's the balanced way. I see this Temperance card as very much, if you were going to personify Libra in a card, I think this is a good one. So Libra comes up to mind being the balanced middle way. Now, when you balance your energies, when you balance your food, when you balance your life, you create health. You develop health in your body. That balance is health. Now, for my birthday, I went to the Georgia Guidestones. And the full story is on Patreon. Please check it out. My Patreon account link is in the description below. And yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more personal videos on Patreon. So I would really appreciate it if you check that out. But one of the guidelines that is written on these stones, I'm not going to go through all of them, but the one that stuck out for this video specifically is, quote, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Temperance. Now, why would we want to rule ourselves with temperance? To mind our temper? Well, sex, politics, and religion, when untempered, when having temper tantrums, what do we have? We have war, we have violence, and we have hatred. These are very important things to keep tempered. Your own religion, your own sex drive, and your own politics, your own ideas of politics should be tempered with reason and balance. Going back to the Kundalini snakes, because this is very much, it, this guardian angel having a loving control over these Kundalini snakes. You know, these snakes become more than just tamed or tempered, but they become educated. And as a horse trainer, I have to think of the upper level dressage horse. You can train your Kundalini snakes to become extremely educated and perfected in the art, right? The other thing to think about with this temperance, this guardian angel, upon meditation, I realized that it's very much our higher selves, right? And when you start thinking about our higher self being our guardian angel, the easiest way to get in touch with that is through your inner child. Remember what it was like to have an imaginary friend? Whatever it was you played with, when you became a character, you would talk to an imaginary character, and it was real for you. This is very much a secret key in opening certain doors to magic. Imagination. And your imagination lives within your inner child, which is one of the reasons why the oppressive powers that want to control have to kill that inner child and make you grow up faster and be responsible adult. If you start talking to your higher self like an imaginary friend, you start giving it power. The more energy and power that you give to this higher self, the more power it can give to you. Now, psychologically, it is the benevolent side of your subconscious. It is the side of your brain that wants to balance you out. Should you really do that? Let's really contemplate this for a second. Your guardian angel. The one that's like, no, don't go there. That could be dangerous. So, getting in touch with this arcana, this temperance, is getting in touch with your higher self. The bridge, strengthening or building this bridge so that you can have some sort of energetic communication with temperance, with your higher self, with your guardian angel. You need to love yourself to love anybody else. And it is very important. I think knowing thyself is paramount to loving thyself, and I think that they're both linked. Knowing thyself and loving thyself are very interlaced. So, without further ado, let's consult the cards, which I've decided now to do in the moment. So, card spread. We're going to talk about temperance. We're going to ask the divine about being tempered. I talked to my daughter about temperance and about how, it's like not having temper tantrums. It's about controlling your temper. It's about ruling your mind so that you're able to think clearly when your emotions might be raging, whether it's a fiery storm or a hurricane. So, temperance, center, north, south, east. In the center, what's the focal point? 9 of Wands. Okay. 9 is that number that is right before 10, so it's almost a completion. You're getting to the end. It is the end, but it's not the next step. It's the end of a cycle, but not quite karmic completion, okay? That wand is very fiery. It's talking about passion right here, because the wand and the fire is all about sexual energy. It's, being close to the idea of sex magic and being able to be the master of your own sexuality. In my deck, also, the 9 of Wands is also the Hermit card. And the reason for that also is that the Hermit is the completion. He is the sage. He is the guru. But he... Oh gosh, I could talk so much about being a hermit. I've been a hermit my entire life until recently with CoMA, and now I have now I share my home with people, which has been a wild adventure as a hermit. I am definitely pushing the boundaries of myself. And with these YouTube videos and sharing my journals and publishing and everything, I'm basically a hermit coming out of the closet. So this card speaks a lot of that. The hermit carries the torch, right? The torch is another reason why it's the wands in my deck is that this wand symbolizes that torch, in that the Hermit wants to share the light. It wants to show you the way. But it's not a bonfire. The Hermit is not dancing in front of a huge fucking bonfire, right? It's a lantern. It's a candle. That he kind of hides it within his cloak as well, unless his students are prepared for it, right? So this, oh my God, this is such an appropriate center card for Temperance and for exploring sensuality and the freedom of expression of sensuality, at the same time having a little bit more of the High Priestess feel of this is protected, this is tempered, you know, for the betterment of the domestic harmony of the living beings that are around me. It is best to be tempered and behind closed doors. So now we're going to move to the north and see what is in the mind, what is in the air, what's floating around. The dragon card. This is the Magician card in my deck. And in this deck, since it's the dragon deck, it's the dragon. And what's on here is dragons are among the most popular and mystic and mythological creatures. They exist in tale of many cultures from across the world. The dragon can be a symbol of power, strength, and good luck. We know all about dragons. And it's the role of the guardian of treasure. Okay? So is a magician. As magicians, we have a responsibility to hold these esoteric secrets sacred. It's not about keeping it a secret, because it's not a secret. We have tons of esoteric books out there now. We've got a global awakening happening. We've got people that are taking back the power, which is needed. So we as magicians need to understand that this should be guarded. This is a treasure that we should guard, like a dragon guarding the mound of gold. And that's also very much physically as well, in that the people who want to really balance out this reality and this planet, this ecosystem, the magicians also need to take back the power, the gold, the abundance, to balance the scales, because it's all over here at this point. All of the money and all of the resources and all of the power is on one side of the spectrum. It doesn't matter if it's the good side or the bad side. It's not kind of really like that. I mean, it kind of is, because we are in this reality, but it kind of isn't as well. It has to be balanced. Everything has to stay balanced. Destruction and creation, death and rebirth are equal, but they have to be balanced. That's what we should be thinking about. That's what's in the air. The magicians. So in the south, what is grounding us. The Ace of Wands. Clearly it's about a lot of fire. It's about a lot of sexual energy. The Ace is the perfected. So we've got the 9 that's close to perfection. That's the end of a cycle that's coming to, it's like, this is like the exams, right? And this in the South that's buried in the ground is the buried treasure. The treasure is the perfection of the wands, the perfection of the fire, the perfection of the passion, when to let it out and when to put it back in its stable for rest and contemplation. That makes a lot of sense. So it's also in the South in that it's that buried treasure, right? It's that behind closed doors. It's not in the air. It's in the ground. And if you want to look at our chakras, it's in the root chakra. It's down in the roots. It's at the base. So let's look at what's in the east. What is coming up on the eastern horizon with the sun to shed light on this card spread? And it's the Jack of Diamonds. Now, this Joker, this Jack, this page, this kid, the first thing that I always think about with this card is it's the kid with all the toys. The kid with the toy box. What is the toy box? The buried treasure. It's the tree house that everybody wants to be a part of, that holds all of your magical items in it. So this card is speaking a lot about to shed light on this ability to control. Has a bad reputation. The word control has a bad reputation. I'm an anarchist, as I said in my last video. I understand. Nobody's going to control me. I'm not going to be controlled by anything except the divine. You know, I mean, the powers that are playing this field in a way, my higher self controls me. He, because your higher self is a mirror, and everything that is a mirror is flipped. So we have a masculine side and we have a feminine side, and your higher self is usually always the opposite of what your physical self is. I can talk a lot about this as well, in that I feel more masculine. Why do I feel more masculine? Well, my physical body is female. My higher self is masculine. I definitely feel closer with my higher self these days, especially. It's gone back and forth, but a lot of confusion and anyway, I don't want to get into all that. So your higher self is the kid in the treehouse, and you're throwing rocks up there to get into. Or you might be sitting up there with your higher self, you know? he's the one that's shedding light on how to use prana and your kundalini snakes for your higher purpose. Using the toys in your toy box. Okay? So what's in the West? At the end of the day, the sun will set. Another wand. The Two of Wands. So, the two always makes me think of the Lovers. Because there's two. It's also a reflection of you and your higher self. It's an accumulation number. It's building. It's a balanced number. And it's very much balancing these two flames, right? This Two of Wands also in my deck is the Judgment card. Why? Because of the two. One will judge the other. You've got balancing. You've got choices. The Two of Wands in a regular deck is also about dominion and claiming an observation of what you have before you. Judgment is Jupiter. So when Jupiter looks at what you've done, let's go ahead and talk about death, right? None of us are going to get out of here alive. There's a huge problem in society as we know it, not being able to look at death, not being able to accept death, and not being able to develop a relationship that understands that death, Anubis, is only a step beyond. It's not the end. It's just another phase. Once humanity as a whole understands this about death, then we won't be as opposed and as there's this shock of like, oh my God, people can't die. It is personal, and it is sad when somebody dies. There's a lot of cultures, the Day of the Dead for one, right? To celebrate the passing on of an individual into a higher existence, for example, right? This card is interesting that death came up. It's like the judgment of the afterlife. Like when you die and you see your life as a whole entity of what you've done, it's not a judgment as, oh, this was bad or this was good. It's a judgment in, okay, are you going to remember this? Have you learned anything from this experience? At the end of the day, judgment is not a negative consequence. No. At the end of the day, the end of the day, we are all, at the end of the day, we're just going to have to face Jupiter. And we're going to have to understand judgment. Judgment of that Mars. Judgment of the passion. Whether it's a sexual passion, religious passion, or political passions. Are you able to temper these passions? Judgment's a hard card. It's a hard card for an anarchist. It's a hard card for somebody who has struggled with judgment. My entire life I have struggled with, I'm a stellium Libra. I have to be very careful not to judge people. But there's an unjust judge and there's a just judge. You know, it totally brings me back to the Georgia Guidestones as well. Some of the commandments that are on the stones talks about judgment. It talks about separating a smaller group of people and the world, right? Like, little things should be overcome in a small group, but worldly matters need to be discussed in a worldly way so that everybody is in account. Oh, and oh my God, you know, the whole, the New World Order. And, you know, I've always been an advocate for smaller governments and not world governments. But that's because the only thing I have ever known is a government that is not for the people. A government that is full of humans that are only for themselves, that are not just, and that simply want to control and oppress. If we come to terms with this judgment card and realize that if we take care of who is able to judge, mainly Jupiter, the powers of the divine, and if this world court is full of illuminated people that care about the planet as a whole, which is the whole reason for a group of awakened people to make decisions that affect the planet. But at the end of the day, coming to terms with being judged and judging yourself. I mean, that's where it all comes from. That's how to become a good judge, is being able to internalize that judgment and looking at yourself. And I am able to look into my actions in the past and see my Mars at the party, drunk, and think, Was that the best action? Yeah, it was free. Yeah, I'm an anarchist. Yeah, I'm even in my own home, even though I share my home and it is also CoMA and a temple. But at the same time, who's going to hold me accountable if I don't hold myself accountable? At the end of the day, we all need to come to terms with being able to be our own judge and to know the difference between a just judge and an unjust judge. So, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. I apologize for the ramblings, but sometimes that's how divination works, you know? You have to ramble and go around in circles until you find the right freedom of. You have to find the freedom of the words to be able to find the right chords. So thank you for holding space for this video and watching it all the way through. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And please check out the Patreon account if you're interested. It's a wonderful way to support. All kinds of artists are on Patreon. It really is an amazing platform, and I definitely want to do more in that platform. So please check it out, like and subscribe. Until next time.